r/datingoverthirty. Today/12345 says, keep getting the sorry, no spark after first dates. Am I moving too fast with personal questions? Last night I 32 male had a date which I thought went pretty well. We met at a bar downtown and had a drink, then went to check out the Christmas lights and take a walk along the lake. I thought things went great. We held hands on the walk, kissed at the end of the date, then today got the sorry, no spark text. This is probably the third or fourth date I've had in the last 2 months that I thought had real potential based on the vibe of the date, but then ended with a sorry, no spark text. So my thought is that, even though I'm doing well with the initiating touch and being flirty, but that I'm probably losing them by asking too many deep questions on the first date and not keeping it playful and lighthearted. I've been doing a lot of personal work over the last 2 years and have become a lot more intentional about dating and what I look for in a partner. So I usually try to ask them some deep questions to help me understand if our values/goals are even a good fit for date 2. Things like, why did your last relationship end, and what's something you learned from it? And what's a personal boundary you have? But now I'm starting to think I may be killing the vibe because it's not a happy subject and could be seen as a version of trauma dumping. I'm starting to think I need to slow it down and just have fun and get to know them over time, but I'm conflicted because IDK if I want to spend a bunch of time going out with someone multiple times only to find out they're not a fit based on very basic values/goals. I think I do relatively well on dating apps and go on anywhere from 2 to 3 dates a week most weeks, but rarely does a second dates happen, and I'd like to change that. Edit, because people seem to think I'm socially inept. No, these were not the first/only questions I asked, just questions that came up throughout the night. Rome Planet says, people think sorry no spark is a reflection on them, but it's not. It just means there's no connection between you. It takes 2 to tango. They are saving you time by letting you know right away. Either that or they are getting free meals lol. Sales Winner says, be casual. Ask them questions. Let them talk. Keep them engaged. Don't get deep and serious. If they do it, that's fine, but not fine for you. Platinum Run says, I don't see anything wrong with your questions. I ask those too, M32, usually at the peak of the date, when I want to spice up the conversation. They've always been received well. If you're getting multiple dates a week with a kiss at the end, then you're probably doing most things right. You just haven't met your match yet. Most guys are struggling to match with women on the apps, so you're leaps and bounds ahead of the average. The reality is that 95% of the people you meet, kiss, hook up with won't turn into anything substantial, so don't take rejection personally. People in their 30s are just like you, where they're more decisive and intentional about dating. This means if they don't feel a spark, then they won't entertain multiple dates. I've found that people in their 20s are more likely to play the field with people they are not interested in, for the experience. Honestly, it's just a time waster if you're looking for something long term. So look at these women doing you a favor by not playing around with you. Because there are some immature women who will do that. Just keep going on dates. Finding a good match can take a little longer than you think. I find that I meet a good potential match once every 6 months or so. Giggles and Tits says, 1. First date, keep it to one location. Leave them wanting more for the second date. A walk by a lake is a great second date idea. 2. I'll share a personal anecdote to amplify what others have said. What attracted me to my partner of 10 plus years is that on our first date, he explicitly said, let's not share our life stories. It made me feel so at ease. He didn't care about a detailed history of where I went to school, my jobs, my stupid exes. He cared about getting to know me and my opinions, my philosophies, and my sense of humor. It was such a breath of fresh air from all the crappy stressful interview-like dates I'd been on. We talked about our lives, sure, but it was more like just telling funny anecdotes and keeping it light. To this day, we still learn something new about each other's lives every day. He didn't touch me without permission either. At one point, he said, "I'd really like to kiss you right now," and that was so hot. 3. Get familiar with the concept of peak fun. When you're feeling like you've hit a high point in an activity, conversation, or date, that's peak fun. That's the perfect time to start wrapping it up. Leave things on that positive note so they remember you fondly and want more. r/datingoverthirty. To Kingthy Train says, communicating expectation in terms of dating timeline without ruining the romance. I'm actually of the opinion that communicating clear expectation can ruin things with the right person, but here we go. I imagine a lot of us who are on this sub are in our 30s or older and want a family eventually. I'm in my early 30s, so is my BF, and don't have much time to mess about if I want kids eventually. It's not a next year event, but I want to know I'm heading in the right direction. My BF and I have only been together for just over 5 months. I wouldn't be already thinking about it if I was still in my 20s. My BF is on the same page in terms of marriage and family values, and things are going well. I don't see myself getting married without at least living together to see how that goes. And frankly, I don't want to be with a partner indefinitely without knowing if we are working towards our dating goals, and if living together arrangement is not going to be possible within a reasonable timeline. It seems like a lot of people just find themselves one day moving in together because they already spend every day together or their partner's lease ended. Both me and my BF have a busy life, so we don't spend every waking hour together. I see him 1-2x a week depending on how busy we are, which is perfect for me. And I own my own place. Ideally, I want to start thinking about moving in together after 10 to 12 months, live together for a few months to a year before we even think about marriage. I feel like this is gonna be my old lady talk lol, but how do I tell him my ideal dating goals and timeline without putting him off? It's still so early, and I don't want to put him off or come across as desperate. I really like him and enjoy getting to know him, but I would not be still seeing him even after just 5 months if I already saw something that would be a deal breaker for me, and I'm dating with an intention in mind. I know he is too, but I just don't know what his timeline is. Thank you. 3. Warm Positive 6245 says, guy here. Definitely communicate. Everyone has a limited time window and you shouldn't waste another year on someone who isn't in it with you. Be clear. Spasuoral 90s says, first, frame this in your mind as things you want, not your expectations. It may seem minor, but word choice is very important when it comes to how we define and experience the world we live in. Secondly, simply just have the conversation. I'd approach it with curiosity, asking him his opinion and mindset. It's an open discussion that should be about collaboration, for instance. You might not have the same exact timeline, but you might collaborate or negotiate on things that would make you both comfortable and satisfied. As an aside, when it comes to collaborating on decisions, understanding the why behind someone's choice can be the thing that allows you to find a shared decision. For instance, what needs are they trying to meet with this choice versus this is what I want and that's that. Someone else mentioned, don't get into all of this in the first convo. These should be ongoing conversations. A little bit at a time is fine. And you don't need to get into the whole age explanation you've laid out here. I don't think openly and curiously having these conversations creates pressure or pushes people away if they want the same things you do. Even if they have a different timeline, they should be able to maturely talk about that. If they can't, then they certainly aren't of the mindset to be in a mature communicative relationship. So I don't think you have anything to worry. D1FF1 Cult 1ND says, I love that you asked this. I'm in my early 30s. My BF is 40, and I think about this as well. It was actually him who asked me about my timeline for kids the last time I was over there, but now after reading your post I realized that I didn't ask about his. My dilemma is how to discuss these things, while at the same time, let the relationship develop organically, without putting pressure on either side / on the relationship. r/datingoverthirty. Interesting lead 946 says, travel not a priority for me, red flag. I'm a 43 male that traveled quite a bit in my 30s. Even took a year sabbatical in 2014 to travel in Latin America. Since COVID began 4 years ago, I've only gone on 3 short trips, long weekends in the US, 2021 and 2022, and a longer trip to Argentina in 2022. I did not go anywhere in 2020 and 2023. I think I've lost the travel bug. Almost every old profile I see mentions travel or dreams to travel. Give me travel tips for Colombia / Italy / Greece / Turkey / Japan / Ireland / etc. I get revenge travel has been a big deal the last few years, and if you are single travel seems like something more worthwhile than collecting more things. I'm just wondering if it's a red flag that I don't have much of a desire to travel. Will I be holding someone back that dreams to travel, or will they just not continue to date me once that comes up in conversation? I'm not opposed to travel, I just don't have wanderlust anymore. And KCO Kid says, the whole travel thing on dating profiles is so cliche that it's no longer interesting. Buying a plane ticket is one of the easiest things a person can do, plus we all like nice holidays. For me, I did a fair bit of traveling in my 20s and it's not a priority anymore. I have a dog now which makes it harder to leave for long periods of time, and I'm prioritizing my finances to move house and save for retirement, so no, it's not a red flag. Raricaris says, there's a reason so many of these people are single. 1 suspects. Best guess, dating someone who is regularly disappearing off on holiday for weeks or months at a time, while also having an abundance of responsibilities to attend to in their regular lives, isn't as fun as it sounds. Peach 13610 says, I travel a lot and have moved to different countries significantly. If I find you interesting, that wouldn't stop me from getting to know you, but definitely I prefer someone who has the same curiosity towards other cultures and that is comfortable investing time and money towards this. Traveling together as a couple is a beautiful and bonding experience, and I would prefer someone who shares this interest. Desertanches says, no, I traveled all over when I was younger and now I have other priorities I'm saving my money for, like a house and retirement, so I think not prioritizing travel is fine. Information Money 1280 says, I share the same sentiment. Every second profile I see mentions looking for a travel partner. If someone mentions how many countries they've visited, it's a no from me. Fat Lucky Fox says, I spent years in my 20s traveling Europe. I just want to adventure around the UK where I live now. 1 or 2 people's opinions don't sway how I feel. TSM Regarded says, why is this a thought? We have no idea if it will be a red flag. That is entirely down to the individual you're trying to date. I also am not sure that you know what a red flag actually is, lol. Not wanting to travel or whatever is not a red flag, lol. No Independent 71 says, I definition's not a red flag for me. I'm the same as you. Traveling, as much as I love it, just isn't a top priority for me anymore. I'm in the US, but not from here. All I care about is going home regularly, and that's something I'd do alone 99% of the time. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.